Welcome, everyone, to your deep dive into the Formula One Saudi Arabian Grand Prix 2025. We've been looking through reports from F1 blogs, Radio Marca as well, really digging into the key moments from Jeddah.
That's right. Our aim here is to give you a clear picture of what went down, the important bits, without getting lost in absolutely every detail.
Exactly. And the sources give us a great mix: live commentary, feel, summaries, driver quotes. It helps us understand the race from a few different angles.
Yeah, it really does. You get the heat of the moment stuff and the more considered analysis side by side. So we'll be focusing on the start, the strategies, those penalties, and the pretty tense final laps.
Okay, let's jump straight in. That start was something else. Almost immediate drama between Verstappen and Piastri, right?
Oh, absolutely. It was incredibly close heading into turn one, a real drag race off the line.
And Verstappen ended up going off track.
He did. He ran wide, cut the corner, essentially, and kept the lead. It was, let's say, a very assertive move.
And Piastri wasn't having any of it, was he? His radio message came through loud and clear.
Instantly. Me tiene que devolver la posición. He has to give the position back. No ambiguity there. He felt wronged.
And the stewards ultimately agreed, didn't they? That led to the penalty later on.
Yes, exactly. He was handed that 5-second time penalty specifically for gaining an advantage by leaving the track. It shows how tough they are on those kinds of moves, especially at the start.
So even with that hanging over him, Verstappen did initially pull away from Piastri, built up a bit of a gap.
Yeah, he did. Managed to get it over 2 seconds pretty quickly, which, shows the pace he had right from the off.
And behind them, how did the order shake out initially?
Well, Russell settled into third with LeClerc and Antonelli behind him in fourth and fifth.
And Alonso had a good getaway too, I read.
He did, yeah. Made up a few places, got himself up into 10th early on. A solid start for him.
But that early rhythm, it didn't last long, did it? There was that incident on the very first lap.
No, it didn't. Gasly and Tsunoda collided, both of them out of the race straight away.
Wow, lap one retirements? That must have triggered the safety car.
It did. Safety car deployed almost immediately, which of course just bunches everyone back up again.
Right. Wipes out any early gaps like the one Verstappen had built, and it opens up strategic possibilities, doesn't it?
Completely. Suddenly, pit stop strategy comes right to the forefront, much earlier than teams might have planned. It resets the race in many ways.
So let's talk about those pit stops. Piastri seemed to be one of the first front runners to blink around lap 21.
Yeah, he dived in relatively early, switched onto the hard tires. It looked like maybe they were going for a long middle stint, possibly trying an undercut or just getting onto the more durable tire.
And where did he rejoin?
He came out behind Hamilton, who hadn't stopped yet. So a bit of traffic to deal with initially.
Then Verstappen pitted a couple of laps later, around lap 23, and that's when the penalty came into play.
Exactly. He served his 5-second penalty during the stop. So the stop itself was longer, and that delay proved costly.
Dropped him back quite a bit then.
Oh, yeah. He rejoined behind both Piastri and Hamilton. So that lead he had, controversial or not, was completely gone. He was now effectively in recovery mode.
Interesting. Meanwhile, LeClerc took a different approach, didn't he? Ran much longer on his first set of tires.
He did. Stayed out on the mediums, managed them really well. He actually inherited the lead for quite a few laps, around lap 27 to 30, before making his stop.
What's the advantage of doing that? Fresher tires later on.
Precisely. It means when he did eventually pit, he had a significant tire life advantage over those who'd stopped much earlier. Crucial for attacking in the final part of the race.
And we certainly saw some attacking, lots of overtakes happening throughout this phase. Norris got past SAINZ early, I remember.
Yep, Norris was making progress, and then he had that really great tussle with Hamilton for 6th place, back and forth for a bit.
Hamilton defended hard.
Oh yeah, vintage Hamilton defense using all his experience in the DRS. But Norris was persistent, had good pace, and eventually made the move stick.
And Norris kept climbing, didn't he?
He did. He managed to get past Antonelli later on as well, moving himself up into 5th place at that point. A strong drive from Lando.
And LeClerc, after his late stop, used those fresher tires effectively.
Absolutely. The key move was getting past Russell for 3rd place. That happened around lap 38, I think.
Was that a straightforward pass?
Relatively. LeClerc clearly had the tire advantage by then.
Yeah.
Russell defended, of course, but LeClerc had the grip and sealed that podium spot.
There were other battles too, right? Alonso made a move.
Yeah, Alonso managed to overtake his teammate Stroll for 12th. And Sainz, well, Sainz was on a mission after his own issues, making multiple overtakes to climb back towards the points.
Now, Verstappen wasn't the only one penalized. Liam Lawson picked up a penalty too.
That's right. Lawson got a 10-second penalty, bit harsher than Verstappen's.
What was that for?
Leaving the track and gaining an advantage. Again, the stewards watching track limits like hawks. So another reminder of how crucial it is to stay within the white lines.
And as we got towards the end, the fight for the final points positions really heated up. SAINZ was involved again.
He was. It was this intense scrap involving SAINZ, Albon, and Hadjar. They were all running incredibly close in the final laps.
And I read something about SAINZ helping Albon.
Yeah, quite cleverly, SAINZ was apparently using his DRS strategically to try and give Albon behind him a tow, helping the Williams defend from Hadjar. Bit of tactical teamwork there, potentially.
Fascinating. And right at the very front, things were getting tense too. Norris was closing on LeClerc.
He absolutely was. In those last few laps, Norris was flying. He cut the gap down significantly.
How close did he get?
Down to about 1.3 seconds at one point, I believe. It really looked like he might challenge for that final podium spot. Made for a bit of a nail-biting finish for P3.
But LeClerc held on.
He did. Managed the gap just enough to keep Norris behind. But it showed Norris's pace at the end.
And behind them, Hamilton and Antonelli were battling as well.
Yes. A really interesting fight for sixth. Antonelli, the rookie, managed to keep the 7-time world champion behind him. Very impressive defensive driving from the young Italian.
So, the checkered flag waves, and who takes the win?
It was Oscar Piastri. His third victory of the season, according to F1 blogs. A really composed drive after all that early drama.
And of Verstappen, despite the penalty.
Managed to recover to second place, which really speaks volumes about his pace, doesn't it?
It certainly does. And LeClerc holds on to that final podium spot.
Yep, Leclerc third, holding off that late charge from Norris, who finished fourth. Just missed out.
Okay, rounding out the top 10.
Russell came home fifth, then that impressive sixth for Antonelli, followed by Hamilton in seventh.
SAINZ, after all that.
SAINZ recovered remarkably well to finish eighth. Then Albon ninth, and Hadjar taking the final point in 10th.
And Alonso just missed out.
Just outside in 11th. A solid drive, but still highlighting maybe the Aston Martin isn't quite where they want it to be yet.
Right. Let's touch on those post-race reactions. Piastri sounded exhausted but happy.
He did. The quote was something like, "I need a sofa." It was a very hard race. And crucially, the difference was made at the start. He clearly felt getting ahead there, even with the controversy, was key.
And Verstappen sounded a bit terse.
Yeah, quite brief. I'll be quite brief. I want to thank the fans. The rest is what it is. You could perhaps read a bit of frustration there, maybe, but diplomatic.
LeClerc seemed pretty pleased with P3, though.
Very pleased. He said, "I am very happy with the race. We maximized everything," which is classic driver speak for getting the best result possible. But he also added, "I hope the improvements arrive soon. Always looking for more performance."
So he felt third was maybe the best they could do on the day.
It sounds like it. He seemed content that they got everything right strategically and operationally, even if they maybe didn't quite have the ultimate pace for the win. His focus is clearly on future upgrades.
And SAINZ eighth, we have to mention that again, holding on under pressure.
Definitely a standout recovery drive. And Alonso's 11th, while just outside the points, was noted as his best result of the season so far, which kind of underlines the struggles Aston Martin might be having.
So wrapping this all up for everyone listening, what's the big picture from Saudi Arabia?
Well, it was a race defined by that start line incident and the resulting penalty, wasn't it? It really shaped the outcome. We saw strategy play a huge role, some fantastic overtakes, and proof that penalties can and do bite.
And Piastri's win, Verstappen's second, despite the penalty. It certainly keeps the championship picture interesting, doesn't it?
Absolutely. It shakes things up. And speaking of staying updated and getting deeper into this, we should mention there's an exciting new Formula One YouTube channel.
Ah, yes. Welcome to F1 Blogs.
Exactly. Welcome to the F1 Blogs channel. It's shaping up to be a great place for ongoing commentary, race analysis, highlights, basically all the F1 content you could want.
Sounds good. So make sure to check out F1 Blogs on YouTube and hit subscribe to stay right on top of everything happening in Formula One.
Definitely do that.
Okay, so that was your deep dive into the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. We hope breaking it down like this has given you a clear, engaging view of what happened and why it mattered.
And maybe something to think about. Verstappen's pace after the penalty was still really strong. It makes you wonder, doesn't it? How much did that Turn 1 incident truly cost him in the end? Was Piastri's win guaranteed by the penalty, or was he maybe on track for it anyway?
A good question to ponder as the season unfolds.
Indeed. And for more thoughts like that and all the analysis, don't forget F1 Blogs over on YouTube. Subscribe to stay in the loop.